Welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast, where we empower business owners to design a life they don't go to regret without sacrificing health, relationships, spirituality. We do this through our mastermind group built on clarity, accountability, support, guidance, and community. Today, I'm joined by the one and only Harley Dwyer, owner of Elite Grafix here in Montgomery County. From tattoos and dye shops to multi-million-dollar sales, and now his own thriving company. Harley's story is about grit, creativity, and building a life of design. Harley Dwyer, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Sean.
So you grew up in Irving playing sports, which I relate to because I played baseball, but also you were sketching tattoos for your uncle. Now, looking back, what shaped you more, athletics or creativity?
I feel like creativity. I was always a creative kid. I think sports was more or less just to keep us busy. It was like almost like a daycare.
Yeah.
Parents work and you went off to practice or all that good stuff. So I would say really the creativity was really what sparked it all.
When did you realize art and your creativity wasn't just a hobby, like doing it on the side, but something that you could really build a life around?
Really, when it was just, once people saw what I was doing and my artwork and such, it piqued others' interest. So it was more or less like, it drove me to create more and try new things. And yeah.
Awesome, man. Now you started cleaning a dye shop floor and ended up creating designs for national movie theaters, correct? Displays like Godzilla.
Yeah. We were, my friend's dad owned a little dye shop. He was actually building the tools that cut out all the shapes and such. And he had some pretty large accounts. There was stuff that was in the mall that we were doing at movie theaters, even a lot of packaging boxes and stuff for rather large brands. And it was all, we were building tools for printing shops.
Oh, very cool. And just for our listeners and audience, and for my own curiosity, what is a dye shop?
A dye shop is really, it's just creating the tools. So basically it would be, we would take a sheet of wood, plywood, and cut out the shapes of what we needed.
Yeah.
And then we would hammer, actually it was like razor knives into the board, and we would hand bend everything and make all the shapes.
Really?
Yeah. And then that was sent off to the dye shop or to the printing companies, and they would basically stamp, their printed goods with that dye, and it would cut out the shapes.
Wow. Very cool, man. That's fascinating. And those early years of doing that with your dad, what did that teach you about starting at the bottom, really rolling up your sleeves and working with your hands?
It really just, it taught me a lot as far as, building myself. I feel like for me, I was always wanting to be the most valuable person in the room. I would learn everything. I was very quick to pick things up. So it was just, it was more natural, I guess, for me.
And speaking of that, in your teens, at just age 19, you became a full-time designer with no degree. How did you gain that confidence to compete in that type of world? Because I know what I was doing at 19, and a lot of our listeners and audience, they can probably resonate with that. We were not a full, doing anything in relation to being a full-time designer. So that's pretty impressive, man. So where did you gain that confidence to compete in a world like that?
I was just surrounded by other artists that had been in the industry for quite a while. They were all very well established in the company. And for me, it was just, once I started learning everything, and I had other people kind of help me out here and there and teach me little things. It's not like anybody really taught me everything. It was just little tricks here and there. And it was just kind of, if you could figure it out, then maybe we'll hire you as an artist. So it was, I had all the tools, and I spent so much time at home, just watching tutorials and creating different things and trying to hone in on the skill.
Yeah. And you've mastered that. I've seen some of your work on social media. And for our listeners' audience, man, you need to make sure you follow this Elite Grafix and Harley Dwyer. He just does beautiful work. I mean, he puts so much time, energy, and effort into it. And you've really mastered your craft in this, Harley. It's impressive work. It really is.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, one of the things that I've realized and I didn't know about you is you've been laid off before, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I have too, but 2 times.
Mm.
And it sounds like you've clashed with the prior owners that you'd worked with. And I knew a little bit about that, and even had to start over multiple times from what I'm hearing, which you shared in your story. Most people quit at that point. From my experience, 9 times out of 10, people are quitting. And I think I've even told you that behind the scenes. Why didn't you quit?
I mean, really, there wasn't for me. I wanted to continue doing what I do, so there really was no option. I wasn't gonna go from being laid off at for as a graphic designer to working on a freight dock or whatever. It was. I felt like that was my calling. That was where I needed to be. Anything else was just kind of selling myself short. I felt like so it was really just I had to focus on that. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm.
So
I love that. And I don't know if you can resonate with this or not, but when I got laid off the first time, I felt like I just got a ton of bricks hit me. And this was back in 2012. I was frustrated. I was depressed. I was upset. I was angry. And then within a matter of 3 or 4 months, I got approached by an insurance agent who worked for State Farm, and he had recruited me and said, come in, I'll teach you everything I need to know, invest my time, energy, and effort into you. And in 3 years, you can open up your own business. So somebody just believed in me. Well, then fast forward 3 years, I got laid off again. And it was in that moment where I realized I'm going through the same feelings again, frustration, angry, lonely. And it was in right around 2 or 3 months where I was, dude, that frustration, that anger in my personality, it built up in me. And that was my why. Like, I was like, I'll show you. I'm getting terminated by all these people, by all these employers. I will show you. And I used it for fuel for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then I picked my head up and go, whoa, I've just bulldozed everything.
yeah,
I need to pick my head up. Do you resonate with any of that? Or are you completely opposite of like, hey, no, I don't know if you used your anger or frustration to really build, because you've really done some unique things in your business?
not necessarily. I mean, I feel like for me, it was just continuing, just pushing forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more like, I've learned this skill, I just had to keep going with it.
No other choice. Keep moving. One foot in front of the other. And that's a lesson in itself right there for even our viewers and listeners, is you keep going. When you get knocked down or your back's up against the wall, whatever area of life, like me and you've talked about behind the scenes, is you take one day at a time. Tomorrow is a new day. And I love this Bible verse. It's this too shall pass. I tell myself and I remind myself all the time, whatever we're going through, it's because it's in those moments that we're in the pain, we're in the suffering. And I try to tell myself, and I don't necessarily know this is what's going on, but reflecting back, I do. I'm like, what is God trying to teach me right now? What is my creator trying to teach me right now? Maybe I need to handle my health better, or my relationships better. Maybe I need to be a little bit more kinder. Maybe I need to be smarter with my finances and come up with a budget. And you never see it in the moment, but it's when you reflect back and go, oh, this is what he's trying to teach me. And it's correcting course. So I'm curious with you, Harley, what setback taught you the biggest lesson that you still use in business today?
That's a tricky one. I mean, I guess I feel like being laid off, that was kind of my push to become the most valuable person in the business, no matter where I went to, because, I wasn't going to give myself that option to be laid off again. It was, if you lay me off, I'm going to make some money. But I'm going to have some skin in the game. I'm going to be a good, valuable asset to the business. So it almost made it impossible to let me go, and that was the only job that I've ever been laid off from, and I've never been fired from a job. I've always left on my own terms, and even 90% of my old bosses, I can still call today, and they'll give me some words of wisdom. I'm still really cool with everybody that I've ever worked for. So it's I don't burn bridges,
No. Well, you're
sometimes those people you need, I have one of my old bosses even sends business down from Fort Worth to Houston.
Really?
He has clients all over, and he links me in with all these different customers and stuff just whenever he needs stuff taken care of here or in Austin. So
Yeah.
it's it was good not to burn those bridges.
Well, Harley, when I talk to you, man, there's so much peace. I really love talking to you because my heart rate is typically 1,000,000 miles an hour. But when I talk to an individual like you, I'm like, this is beautiful. I need more Harleys in my life because you're
Yeah.
so cool, calm, collective. You're reserved, and I can really lower my resting heart rate, man. So I appreciate you. We need to do this more.
Yeah, definitely. I don't let a lot really get to me. I've always told myself if there's a situation that arises, well,
Yeah.
it can't eat me or they can't eat me. I just kind of
Yeah.
just do what I can do and hope for the best.
Where does that mindset stimulate from? Was this a skill set that you've learned, that you've embodied? Where do you feel like that happened? What was the catalyst in your life or have you always been like that?
I think it's just from being around chaotic people, growing up and stuff, and not wanting to be that type of person. I'm
Yeah.
more or less most of the time I'm the quiet person in the room, but I'm always listening. I observe everything,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's
Hmm. And that's in the quietest one in the room is the one you gotta watch out for because they're typically the smartest. They can be the smartest ones in the room and the most intelligent. And I see that with you, and I love that. And that's, man. I'm taking mental notes right now, and even for our listeners and viewers, you're always listening, and that's so hard. That's so hard for me. That's such a challenge for me. I'm always doing the one that's wanting to talk and communicate and not wanting to be uncomfortable and having the moment of silence. But you're okay with that, is what I'm hearing you say, and you're listening in those moments
oh yeah.
and you're observing. That's a skill set, man. I love that you shared that because I think anybody can learn that, right? It is a learnable skill set to observe the room, read the room, and then listen. Because ultimately, when you sit down with a guy like you, man, you're not only observing and reading the room, but you know what's going on, and people just love that. They love talking about themselves. They love hearing themselves, and you're the guy that can kind of help facilitate that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
how does that show up in your work at Elite Graphics and designing? I mean, you've designed everything from balloons, which is impressive, still sold today, to vehicle wraps on TV shows, and even managed 1.7 million in sales in a single year. So, like, how does that show up by you observing and listening in doing all this?
I'd say just being open with the customers. I mean, that if it's not really all about me all the time. In business, like a lot of other companies, it's kind of their way or no way. But I think for me, just listening to a customer explain what they want, or I don't know, being a little.
But you're so, I mean, the work that you do, because of that skill set that you observe and you listen to the customer, that's exactly what you want in a professional like you that designs this work of art. I mean, it's just incredible. Because you don't want somebody, if you're going to do business with a realtor or a lawyer or an insurance agent or a professional like you or a marketing agency, do you want them talking 99.9% of the time?
Oh no,
You don't. You want them listening. So we can all take a lesson away from Harley Dwyer today, that it's all about observing and understanding the customer's viewpoint and what they're wanting. And then you have
yeah,
this work of art, and you've done such a beautiful job, man.
yeah.
That's
And
exciting.
even as if somebody is explaining something to me, a customer, I'm already putting things together in my head. I'm
Yes.
envisioning what I'm going to do while they're explaining things, so that way
Yeah.
I'm more prepared when I sit down at the computer to create a design.
Yeah. Well, are there any other Harley Dwyers out there?
Or I wish I'd hire all of them.
Exactly. So there you go. If you're listening to this and you like graphic and you like design this is relatable. Harley's hiring, right? Skelling,
Yeah, we're getting there.
making it happen. So I'm curious, man. And with Elite Graphics, what was that turning point when you decided it's time to start Elite Graphics?
Oh man, really, I was kind of over the working for someone else, and I was put in positions to where I had to make decisions for the company, and the best decision I could in having, not, I was put in that position, but I couldn't fully execute it. There was always somebody on top that was like, no, we can't spend this, we can't do this.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so it was, for me, it was, and even my salary, I mean, I was still probably the highest paid employee in the building, but at the same time, I wasn't satisfied with it. I knew there was more out there, and for me, I could create, I could design on the side, I could work for a business, and I didn't want anybody having any kind of no compete on me or any contracts. It was just,
Yeah.
I'm a creative person,
Yes.
so I'm any of that stuff just kind of takes the creativeness out of it. I've even gone to interviews for, you know, 6-figure jobs, with full paid benefits and all that stuff. And, I've turned them down because the atmosphere wasn't right for me. Or,
Yeah.
I had one guy tell me, if you walk in the door 2 seconds late, I'm going to be over here on your butt, and I'm like, well, that this interview is over, because if you come over here and you're on my butt, I'm not going to be creative for you that day. My headspace is going to be, or my mind is going to be somewhere else. So I'm not going to be that creative if I'm,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
in that situation. So
Wow. What was the scariest part of that leap of starting Elite Graphics, and what gave you the courage to follow through?
I felt the scariest part was really just not knowing the customers that I was going to be able to reach.
Yeah.
I've been in the business for 16 years. However, majority of that was in Dallas. So everybody knew what I did down there. So then once I moved down here, I was kind of the new kid on the block. I mean, this industry is so heavily saturated already. There's a wrap shop or a print shop on, within a mile of everybody,
Yeah.
a mile radius of each business, so
Mm.
it was for me, it was something that I needed to do.
Yeah. Now you're running the business alongside your wife, and I know this is super relatable because we have so many listeners that are emerging leaders and business owners, entrepreneurs, and they're running their business alongside their wife. And you're also raising two boys, and that's also relatable with kids. What does that dynamic look like day to day for you?
Ooh, day to day. Well, my kids, they come in, kind of when I need them, or whenever they can wake up on time. It's we call them part timers. They work for a day or two, and then they have a week off.
Yeah.
But then as far as my wife, she handles the books and takes care of customers that walk in the door. Because as of right now, we're in the process of needing to hire some, hire bodies, but it's so tricky to find those people that'll hold up to what the quality you want to produce. And
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, you're the one that's there, grinding it out, and she keeps it together up in the front, and she helps me out with production and such like that. I mean, she's not scared to go outside and clean a vehicle if she has to. So it's nice having the support and the family around me,
Yeah.
and everybody's comfortable. There's no arguments or anything like that. Our house and our business are peaceful. There's
Yeah.
that's just the way we want to keep it.
No strife. Keep that strife out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know when me and you got to meet up and do coffee together, you had mentioned that your kids were super excited about helping you every morning. They were like, well, what can we do with the business? And then even your wife, they were always being intentional about how they could help the business. Where does that mindset, where did they learn that mindset? Because I know, man, it just seems like like everywhere around us, there's a lot of laziness going on. And I'm curious, with your household and your dynamic of your family, what has prompted them to have that mindset of, hey, Dad, where can we help out in the business? And because I remember you saying they were eager to help wherever they could.
Yeah. Well, I feel like at first they were not eager to help out. It
Yeah.
was, they play video games, they stay up all night long, and we would see them maybe in the morning when we're going to work, they're still awake, in the kitchen. When we get home, they're passed out. By the time we cook dinner, they're still asleep. They wake up late at night. So it was but I think it was more or less like when we started bringing them to the shop, and once they got their first taste of actually making money, then they're like, oh, we like this, like
Yeah.
what can we do at the shop today? And it started out as just,
Yeah.
cleaning cars and sweeping the floors, taking out the trash, little stuff like that. And,
Mm.
uh, over time, I've been more apt to needing help. So we've kind of pushed it to where, okay, you're going to help us out here, and you're going to, once one kid helps us out in one area, the other one helps us out in another. And, it was more or less just taking the time to train them, and or to teach them, and once they started learning, then that's when they were really like, oh no, we like this. We
Yeah.
can put our headphones in. We don't have to deal with anybody. They can just kind of do their thing out in the shop, and also be creative. I don't think they've ever really been creative, but until now,
Yeah.
but they don't want to work for anyone else, and their family has a wrap shop, so
That's right.
they want to be a part of it.
I love that, man. One of the things that when you were sharing that with me, one of the things that it made me realize is you're meeting your kids and your wife where they are. You're not saying do this, and this. You're just allowing them to be creative. And
Yeah.
as that's essentially what you've done. And I think that's a lesson in itself right there for just myself and all of our viewers and listeners is meet the people, whether it's your kids or whether it's employees, team members, your spouse, meet them where they are in their season of life and find out what makes them tick. Hey, if it's money, obviously your kids. If it's money, great, cool. Hey, this is what the shop needs, and you can make some money. So I think that's beautiful, man. Keeps them showing up every day and eager to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
When people see the Elite Grafix name in our community, Level Up and Live, Montgomery County, what do you want them to think about your family and your brand?
Quality, trust, honesty. I mean, we ultimately just want to be the one-stop shop, that works with everybody, so we
Yeah.
want to really be able to be there for our customers and our community.
Well, I can tell you right now, just in the short period of time that we've gotten to know each other and build relationships and the work you've done on social and hearing feedback from people, you're doing those things, brother. Trustworthy, quality work, and doing honest work. And that right there, there's nothing more you can ask for. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
It blows me. What drives us is just hearing our customers' testimony with the other businesses or the other shops that they've dealt with, versus how we are. That's majority of our customers are repeat customers. They always come back for more. That every time they buy a new vehicle, then we're branding that vehicle. Um, but everybody shares their experiences elsewhere versus how we do things, and it's always cool to hear, and it makes you want to be even better than that,
Yeah.
kind of over, what was it? Under promise, over deliver
Yep.
type scenario. So
Exactly. Yeah. Over promise, over deliver. Now, man, fast forward 10 years. What does success look like for Harley Dwyer in business and in life?
hopefully, we have multiple locations. We're really trying to blow this up into a larger company, and have multiple employees and just keep pushing,
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, Harley, thank you for sharing your journey today. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for saying yes to the podcast. There's so much to be learned from you, man. I love your poise. I love how humble you are. You display this humility that is very attractive, brother. So thank you for being you. And it's proof that quiet determination can build extraordinary things, man. So I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you.
Now, outside of that, how can our listeners, viewers, our Level Up and Live community, how can we support you since you have been so valuable on today's podcast?
Just check us out on elitegraphics.com, elite-graphics.com. Our socials are Elite Graphics TX. Just check us out, give us a shot, let us design something for you. It doesn't cost any money for us to put a mock-up together for you. And I guarantee you we'll win you over with the mock-up.
That's very tempting. That's interesting. I didn't know you did free. So what I'm hearing you say is you do free consultations?
Yes.
We may have to do a mock-up of Level Up and Live and do something for the truck. I know we've tossed that around, but that may be the Holy Spirit working through me right now. Hey, you need to get with Harley.
That's normally the selling point, is once somebody sees their design or their imagination come to life, that's really what sells them. A lot of people, they have this idea in their head, or they think like you and I was speaking about, you wanted to do your truck. You're like, oh, what if I'm a crazy driver, and somebody wants to leave a bad review.
Yep.
Well, I hear that all the time, and I'm a crazy driver myself, but I have never had somebody call me and say, hey, this truck over here has cut me off or whatever. I get more good than bad off of the rap. There's always somebody stopping me at the gas station, or I get pictures on social media, somebody tagging me, taking a picture of my truck going down the freeway. So it's definitely, that would be our selling point, is really being able to show a customer their design in almost real life, exactly what it's going to look like, so.
Awesome, man. Well, there you have it, folks. Reach out to Harley Dwyer, owner of Elite Grafix in Montgomery County. People do business with they know, like, and trust. Harley, thanks again for being on the show. And to our listeners, if Harley's story inspired you today, it's time to step in a room full of business owners like him. That's what we do every Friday at the Level Up and Live Mastermind Group. Test it out with a 1-month free trial. Link is in the show notes. Don't wait. Come level up with us. Harley, thanks again. See you in the next episode.
Thank you, Sean.